So meanwhile, while we were all enjoying our families, there were families at the border, several hundreds of people. I don't know what the percentage of families were. Some were families. Some were just children of parents, or some were just parents of children. And they have traveled through Mexico. They were at the border attempting to cross. And then, of course, you needed to disperse them to protect this country. You understand, these people, some of them had rocks. Some of them may be trained in martial arts. We don't know. And so we need to protect ourselves. And, of course, what did the Border Patrol do? Well, they fired high-density pepper spray and tear gas, according to the AP. There were some who, this according to the AP, U.S. border agents fired tear gas on hundreds of migrants protesting near the border with Mexico after some of them attempted to get through the fencing and wire separating the two countries. American authorities shut down the nation's busiest border crossing from the city where thousands were waiting to apply for asylum. Mexican police had kept the migrants from walking over a bridge leading to the Mexican port of entry, but migrants pushed past officers to walk across the Tijuana River below the bridge. Migrants walked along the river to an area where only earthen levee and concertina wire separated them from U.S. Border Patrol agents. And an AP reporter saw U.S. agents shoot several rounds of tear gas after some migrants attempted to penetrate along several points along the border. And here is some guy on Fox and Friends. This is Ron Colburn. Colburn is from the Border Patrol Foundation. He's the president of the foundation that supports the Border Patrol. I'm not sure what they do.
Is that a tax-deductible organization?
I would imagine. Everybody's got to work, folks. And here he is going on Fox and Friends to explain all we did with the little kids is put a little pepper in their eyes.
There was a small hole they were able to puncture through the border wall, and they hurled all sorts of rocks, etc., at the Border Patrol agents, and then they fired the tear gas. Is that warranted?
Absolutely. And to clarify, the type of deterrent being used is OC pepper spray. It's literally water, pepper, with a small amount of alcohol for evaporation purposes. It's natural. You could actually put it on your nachos and eat it. So it's a good way of deterring people without long-term harm.
Oh, so those Mexican and Honduran and Guatemalan people could put it on their nachos.
They should be saying gracias.
Yes. Gracias.
That's what I say. Gracias.
Unbelievable. Couldn't miss the opportunity.
Couldn't miss out. Can I just interject something briefly here? It just occurred to me. I know we don't really debate the use of the word fascism on this show that much, but I think we're all basically on the same page. But it's like a manufactured fake crisis, which is the caravan, and then the actual barbarism of this is, I mean, you're starting to get extremely textbook now.
Very textbook. Very textbook. Here's some photos of some of those lucky migrants who are able to get some of that pepper spray and I guess theoretically put it on their nachos. As you can see, the kids are in diapers, and that's the most dangerous type of child, I can tell you that. And there's the mom wearing the Frozen T-shirt, which is also, obviously incredibly dangerous to the American people. And I think actually in the background, there you go. You can actually see a stroller back there across the ravine there.
Crisis child actors.
Yes, of course. And thank God we're being protected from these folks, listen, we don't need more children running around in strollers. I can tell you that. Coming from Stroller Central in Brooklyn, I'm very, very glad that we are firing pepper spray at parents and their children so that they can't make their way up here and endanger all of us.
You've advocated that in front of Q train stops.
Oh, yes,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And in fact, here's Thomas Homan. He is the former acting director of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And I think he's now still the executive director now of ICE?
He stepped down, but there's speculation that he will take over for Nielsen when she's puts in her.
So, of course, he's going back on Fox News.
Strength.
Yes. And here he is saying that that these asylum seekers, this is all just a game for these people.
There's heartache when you see those pictures. There's the rule of law the president continues to hammer down on. How do you address both?
Incidentally, the rule of law would also have Jared Kushner and others in prison right now for their disclosure forms. The rule of law not so rigid when you get to that point.
Yeah, going back to our discussion on fascism, when rule of law is invoked, maybe start to wonder, does this look like fascism opportunistically using the law?
I mean, it's a shame that those people had to have children to make it so dramatic when they were getting pepper sprayed. Here we go.
Well, first of all, I've said many times, I certainly feel bad for the plight of these people, but they're not asylum. They're not true asylum seekers. They don't qualify under existing law to claim asylum because they want to come here. You've seen them.
Pause it. A funny thing about existing law, and you keep bringing up fascism. I'm not going to say what country it was and when, but what they managed to do was all legal because they changed the laws to make it legal to oppress certain minorities in their country. Now, you'll recall that Jeff Sessions changed, not so much the law, the regulations, I guess you could call it, but more or less the same, on what constituted a legitimate ask for asylum. We simply changed it. We simply basically banned all the reasons why you could seek asylum if you were coming from Central America. Domestic abuse, gang violence, the fact that your country was almost non-functioning in terms of dealing with crime and violence, that your child or your husband was murdered by a gang and you were under threat and there was no recourse in your own country. We just simply said it's no longer a legit reason for asylum. But let's listen to the game that's being played.
Because they want to come here. You've seen them, they're carrying signs, I want a job. That doesn't qualify for asylum, so I certainly understand the plight of these people. I can certainly understand them want to be a part of this country, but there's a legal way to do it, and they're not following the legal process. They're using asylum.
They are using the exact legal process, which is you go up to the border, you say, I am seeking asylum, and then we have a legal process to determine whether or not your claim warrants asylum. That is the only legal process to get asylum for these people. Are they all have legitimate claims? Statistically, no. But we don't know which ones do. And that's why you have a legal process that is edified in U.S. law to make that determination. Theoretically, this guy knows it.
They're using the asylum system, which harms real true asylum seekers that really are escaping fear and persecution. But on your first point about the women and children escaping tear gas, we got to look at the facts here. A minority of this caravan, a small minority, is actually family members, women and children. Most of them are adult males. But the media, some of the media out there are getting shots of the women and children to try to pull at the heartstrings of America. And and even the caravan itself, the people that are coordinating this whole event, they'll put the women and children up front to make it seem like this is 5,000 women and children when it's not. They're playing the game. Some of the media outlets are playing the game. This is a vast majority of males seeking employment in the United States, not women and children.
Now, of course, males don't have families. We know this, right? They're not family members. They're just males. They're just males looking for work, looking for probably very, very fancy and exotic jobs.
I'd actually suggest that it's some pretty anti-male chauvinism right there.
Not to raise money for their families because, of course, they're males and couldn't possibly have families.
No, I have no family. I'm here to start a Patreon.
Right, exactly.
I want to become a YouTuber and abandon my family. So that'll be asylum, please.
What does Homan have against males?
Yeah, what does he have against men? It sounds like it's a war on men from Fox News headquarters.